PSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Finally, show with the balls to call it like it is. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Countdown to audio torture.
The Rated R
that we get to do together, because that's always important. So anyways, hopefully you're off to a grand start of the week, doing all the fun things that you want to do. Today is Monday, March 21st of 2022, day 80th of the year, and only 285 days left to go. So that's always a good time. Anyways, we are broadcasting live from the Safety FM studios in Orlando, Florida. That is for sure. And coming across the multiverse known as Safety FM and hanging out with our friends and colleagues at that place that we do things at.
Radio Big.
Oh, yes, we are hanging out with our friends at RadioBig.fm. So did you do anything fun this weekend? Did you do anything exciting? Did you stay out of trouble? That's the other portion of the equation that we have to talk about right away, just in case. Because, you never want to get in too much trouble. That is for sure. You can get in trouble, but not too much, because that's always one of those weird things that is going on. Anyways, if you want to interact with the show, it's a pretty simple process. All you have to do is go to callinradio.com. That's callinradio.com. That will get you set, get you moving, get you grooving, and we will do everything from there. Pretty simple process, to be quite honest with you. So a lot of stuff going on over the weekend if you're paying close attention to what was going on. So I guess we'll start talking about some of those things, because that is part of the reason why you're here. So let's talk about it from the very top. What was trending over the weekend? Saturday was National Let's Laugh Day. Let's see. Twitter users complained over the weekend about their busted March Madness brackets. Also on Sunday was National Ravioli Day and the first day of spring. Did you do anything on the first day of spring? I will tell you, I decided to go out and partake in what is popular in the Orlando market yesterday, and taking a look at some of the theme-a-thons that are out there, the theme parks. And the amount of people on the theme parks yesterday was, it's kind of surprising, but I guess with it being the last day of spring break in this lovely county, I shouldn't have been too surprised, and there you go. Anyways, Twitter users celebrated the return of spring with tweets about warmth, sunshine, barbecue, and patio cocktails. So I guess that's something to talk about if you're so inclined to do that. What else? What else did we see? Hashtag Ask a Man Any Question was trending on Sunday as tweets included, and whatever the answer is, it will be wrong according to his wife. Why are you like this? Why can't you pick up after yourself? And why do you need to have a man cave? I'm going to tell you something. Let me reference this real quick. I never understand that thing of a man cave. Like, are you telling me that you live in a household that you're limited to have any influence except for one room? Like, seriously? Like, that's a thing? Like, I have never understood that concept. Like, hey, this is my only room inside of the whole place, so this is known as my man cave. Like, really? Something's wrong with your relationship. Sorry, but just need to share that with you. Okay, also Kid Rock landed in his Twitter top 10 on Sunday ahead of his interview with Fox News' Tucker Carlson. The sit-down airs tonight, so I guess if you're on the look of taking a look at the Bowtie Man and what's going on with Kid Rock, you got a combo there if you want to take a look at that. I don't know. I mean, whatever you want to do. So there you go. Go from there. Okay, so let's talk about this. Let's go to the other side real quick, because we're going to need to talk about this. Let's talk about real quick the top 10 of what was going on inside of the box office. At number 10 was Sing with $1.4 million. That's Sing 2, by the way. The Kashmir Files with $1.45 million. At number 8 was the Outfit with $1.5 million. Number 7, Death of a Nile with $1.7 million. Number 6 was Spider-Man No Way Home with $3.2 million. And number 5 was Dog with $4 million. At number 4 was X with $4.4 million. And number 3 was Uncharted with $8 million. And then at number 2 was Jujutsu Jujutsu, not jujitsu, but Jujutsu Kaisen with $14 million. I haven't even heard of this movie. Is anybody I'm sure there's people that are familiar with it, but are you familiar with it would be the question. I am not familiar with that movie at all. Like, at all. Not like kinda at all, like not at all. Like, I know nada. I know absolutely nothing about it. And the number one movie, according to the box office, was The Batman for the third week in a row, ranking in, let's see, around, it looks like 36 million. Millions and the millions dollars. So there you go, $36 million coming into the box office. So if you're new to this thing, let me kind of explain to you how the layout of the land kind of works, because it's kind of how it works, because it doesn't always work this way. We talk about the news, and we talk about news and safety in the news, and then we do a combination of things inside of there where some people are happy and some people are pissed, but that's just kind of the way that it goes. And then we come back and I talk about my nonsense of what the hell I think's going on inside of the world. And then we kind of go from there. And then we have some phone lines that could be open that you can call into, and we can talk from there. And then we have some fun doing that. And then we do some other things that you might deem exciting and that you might not deem exciting. So those things happen throughout. So some fun stuff as we get to do it all together. What do you think? Good for you? I think it's good for me. So I think we should get moving and grooving and talking about some other things that are going on. So I think we should do the news portion right now, where we'll bring in some professional broadcasters that they know what they're talking about, because I most of the time have no clue what I'm talking about. I just talk. So let's go from there, and let's go ahead and start that news to sequence. Let's go ahead and do that right now.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
NBC News Radio, I'm Michael Kastner. A passenger jetliner is down in China. A China Eastern Airlines Boeing 737 carrying 123 passengers and 9 crew members has crashed in the mountains in southern China. The country's Civil Aviation Administration fears no one survived. China's last major crash was in August 2010 when 42 people were killed. A Russian deadline for Ukraine to surrender a key port city in the southeast of that country has come and gone. Russia has demanded those defending the city of Mariupol lay down their arms by today's deadline, promising that civilians would be allowed to escape in return. Ali Arouzi has more.
Around 300,000 people still remain trapped in that city in appalling conditions, without electricity, without running water, with very little food.
He says the next move is not yet clear. This comes on top of unconfirmed reports that thousands of Ukrainians are being removed from the besieged town and placed into what local officials are calling camps. U.S. officials say the 4 Marines who died when their aircraft crashed in Norway were based out of North Carolina. Scott Carr reports.
The helicopter went down in what Norwegian police describe as extreme winter weather in an area southwest of Oslo. They were based out of Marine Corps Air Station New River in Jacksonville, North Carolina. They had been participating in the so-called Cold Response Training Mission, which began earlier in the week. The annual NATO drills are unrelated to the war in Ukraine, this year including around 30,000 troops from 27 countries.
A multi-day severe weather outbreak is set to slam the southern U.S. More from Mark Mayfield.
Tuesday could see the most wild weather in Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and parts of the Florida Panhandle. The storms will then move towards Georgia, the Carolinas, and Virginia on Wednesday. Hail, high winds, and possibly strong tornadoes are all possible with this week's storms.
Michael Kastner, NBC News Radio.
From Feature Story News in London, I'm Ollie Barrett. EU foreign and defence ministers are meeting in Brussels to mull the next steps in their response to Russia's invasion of Ukraine. China's state media says a plane carrying 133 people has crashed in Guangxi province. Hong Kong is lifting flight bans and easing COVID-19 quarantine measures for incoming travellers, and England is rolling out a further COVID-19 booster jab.
Chevron has fired hundreds of union workers before a strike deadline at an oil refinery in the San Francisco Bay Area. Trey Thomas reports.
The United Steelworkers Union says the company laid off more than 500 union members Sunday night and replaced them with non-union workers at the refinery in Richmond. The contract between Chevron and the union expired on February 1st, and the union has voted down 2 contract proposals since then. Chevron says its committed to continuing negotiations at the refinery, which hasn't seen a strike in more than 40 years.
The Los Angeles Police Department is offering a $1,000 reward to anyone who can help catch the Tesla driver responsible for a stunt that went very wrong on Sunday morning. Driver of the rented Tesla flew over a hill in a neighborhood in Echo Park, and this neighbor saw it happen.
That was wild to watch, for sure. Too much.
The driver caught too much air, came down wrong, and smashed into a pair of parked cars, totaling the Tesla. Then he got out and jumped into a waiting car, leaving the wreckage behind. The big jump happened on Baxter Street, which is the steepest hill in Los Angeles, and has attracted other thrill seekers in the past. The video of the incident has become viral. The NCAA tournament continues to thrill. Number 1 seed Arizona was taken to the limit in an 85-80 overtime thriller against 9 seed TCU to advance to the Sweet 16. Arizona head coach Tommy Lloyd says his team never lost its confidence.
I believe the whole time, and I think they did too, and just the way they were communicating in the huddles, I knew we just had to hang in there and make a play or two, and we could get this thing over the top.
Elsewhere on Sunday, the Cinderellas continued to move the ball around as 10-seed Miami pounded 2-seed Auburn 79-61, and 11-seed Iowa State took down 3-seed Wisconsin 54-49. Sweet 16 gets going on Thursday. Michael Kastner, NBC News Radio.
This show is almost as enjoyable as hearing the sound of the toilet flush. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Well, you might be like me and heard all these terms and were not 100% sure on what they meant. Things as mining, blockchain, the Internet of Things. Well, I will tell you, we here at Safety FM have partnered up with a company that will explain this to you and will also have conversations to inform you on how you might have the potential of making passive income by being involved with this. All you need to do is go to safetyfm.com/iHub. They'll discuss blockchain. What exactly is mining? What is cryptocurrency? And what is the Internet of Things? To find out more information, go to safetyfm.com/iHub. That's safetyfm.com/iHub. And don't forget to mention that Jay Allen sent you.
People been saying to your friend, get a different face, and posting on their feed, they're super ugly. The things they say to them online are cruel and they're not true. So tell your friend, I'll stand up for you. Don't worry, I know what to do.
Know someone being bullied online? You can be a witness and make a difference by letting the world know it isn't cool and by letting your friend know you care. Learn more at eyewitnessbullying.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Keyboard Cat, Hamilton the Pug, and Toast Meets World. These are some of the internet's most beloved pets, and they all have one thing in common. Their stories started in a shelter. Start your story. Adopt a dog or cat today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you. Training that pet to play the keyboard, that's optional. Start a story. Adopt a shelter or rescue pet today. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
Allison is perfect. I mean, she'd never tell you that. She's humble and perfect. She likes everyone. She even likes her untidy roommate's weird guinea pig. Allison, wait, are you texting and driving? Allison, no. That's the exact opposite of what I was just saying about you. Why, Allison? Why? Texting and driving makes good people look bad. Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
We are live outside the home of Joe and Rosie Goddard, where a pretty big tickle fight broke out just minutes ago. Sources say their father instigated the laughter. Let's go inside for a comment. Apparently, they have no comment. Dads, let this be a reminder that it only takes a moment to make a moment. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
We all want to make sure that our family is protected in medical emergencies. What many of us don't realize is that health insurance won't always cover the full amount of an emergency medical flight. Even with comprehensive coverage, you could get hit with high deductibles and copays. That's why an Air Medcare Network membership is so important. As a member, If an emergency arises, you won't see a bill for air medical transport when flown by an AMCN provider. Best of all, a membership covers your entire household for as little as $85 a year. AMCN providers are called upon to transport nearly 100,000 patients a year. This is coverage no family should go without. Now, as a Jay Allen Show listener, you'll get up to a $50 e-gift card with a new membership. Simply visit airmedcarenetwork.com/safety and use the offer code SAFETY. And don't forget to tell them that Jay Allen sent you.
You are listening to something magical. You're listening to the Rated R Safety Show.
I like the idea of the magic thing first. Anyways, 18 minutes past the top of the hour as you and I are hanging and banging. By the way, thank you for whoever let me know there of the radio station being down. It has been taken care of on the radio big side of the house. And apparently the video went down too. Welcome to technology. It is great until it fails you, and then it is quite miserable when it does. But I think we've had this discussion before, so no need to beat a dead horse. You know what I'm saying? So let's start talking about some things that are going on in this lovely world of ours. Matter of fact, I have it in a written form, and I have it in a playable form, so let's do the playable form. So here you go. Maury, to end this September, the syndicated daytime show is coming to an end. Michael Kastner has more information.
The Maury Povich-fronted show will end production this season.
The shocking aftermath to one of the most scandalous stories ever.
The series will air content through September and then only reruns after that. Maury became famous for airing the results of paternity tests and for his catchphrase, "You are not the father." The show has been on the air since 1991 when it was called The Maury Povich Show. It became Maury in 1998.
What will happen now?
I'm Michael Kastner.
Okay, so there you go. The end of an era, or era, whatever you want to call it. So there you go. Let's get into some serious stuff, though. Let's talk about some other things that are going on inside of the world right now. Let's talk about this. 10 million Ukrainians displaced since Russian invasion began. Around a quarter of the Ukrainian population is now displaced after nearly a month of war with Russia. NBC's Jay Gray has the latest.
3.4 million people have now escaped across the border, about half of those children. Still, according to the UN, those refugees account for less than a third of Ukrainians left homeless since the start of the war.
Okay, that works out to about 10 million people, all a part of the exodus so fast and so massive that nothing its scale has ever seen in Europe since World War II. So I don't know. A lot of stuff. I mean, I will tell you, the more that I read about this Ukrainian thing, it's interesting to me on how some of the theories are coming out on some of the things that people are saying online and, check for everything and all this other stuff. I don't know. Sometimes I get put into these loopholes of things that I start looking at, which makes it very interesting. Anyways, gas prices are essentially unchanged from yesterday. Trey Thomas has more information.
Regular unleaded currently sits at $4.25 a gallon, according to today's AAA station survey. While that may be the national average, prices at the pump are an eye-popping $5.85 a gallon for regular in California. That's the highest in America. Prices are lowest for drivers in Kansas, where gas is $3.76. I'm Trey Thomas.
No, you cannot drive to Kansas to get cheaper gas if you don't live there. It doesn't make a lot of sense to do so, but it's a good thought process. I get it. Anyways, let's talk about this I-96 flex route. Let's talk about this because sometimes people get confused. Crews will start a 3-year project to add a flex route to part of the Interstate 96 in Oakland County today. Michigan Department of Transportation spokesperson Diana Cross says that there will also be 3 phases to the project. Take a listen to this.
We only have really heavy traffic during morning rush and afternoon rush. So we're not going to spend hundreds of millions of dollars to design a roadway for 24 hours of use when we really only need it for about 3 hours a day.
Okay, east and westbound I-96 were rebuilt between Kent Lake Road and I-275 interchange. Governor Whitmore says that the funding comes from the Rebuilding Michigan program. Michigan Department of State spokesperson Diana Cross explains that the Flex Route project on I-96 in Oakland. And bear with me just one moment.
We're going to start working westbound on 96 from 275 out to Kent Lake. We're going to work in sections. So first we'll be near 275. We'll make our way up to Beck, to Wixom, and further west.
So I need to have an understanding on this. So she's saying that their primary concern is morning and afternoon traffic. I get it. That is normally high traffic times. But I'm also starting to see in different states where they're starting to impose these express lanes per se. And their upgrades to routes and sections and all this. I'll give a perfect example of here in this glorious state that I live in, that they have recently upgraded the road that goes between Tampa and Orlando. And I understand that nationally this is not important to people, but I'm going to explain it anyways. But there is a surcharge, yes, a surcharge for going on this particular road. So you're still part of the main highway, but there is a surcharge on going this portion of the road, and they charge you for the length that you go. And the prices vary depending on how heavy traffic is. Now, don't get me wrong. I understand that we live in a capitalistic society where people are trying to make some money off of things. But if it's dealing with public transportation, if it's dealing with highways, that you're already paying your tax dollar for, why is there a surcharge on top of? I need to understand that one better. And so is this going to be the ongoing thing going forward? Pinch a penny, grab a penny, go with a penny even more every time that you turn a corner? Because it's starting to seem that way. That's for sure. What's your thought process on it? Is it something that you think that it's worth its while of, hey, if you want to do the extra, you have the opportunity of doing so? Or do you think that it's kind of just a stupid thing altogether? Just a question.
More sarcasm than a Mortal Kombat beatdown. Rated R Safety Show.
Anyways, I think it's about that time that we bring Johnny Smalls inside of here and let him tell us about the market beat.
Here's your Market Beat Minute for Monday, March 21st, 2022. Equities ended last week higher after staging the strongest rally in several months. The move is good news for the bulls, but investors are cautioned not to read too much into it. Not only was last week quadruple witching options expiration, but there were quite a bit of short coverings in the market as well. This means most of the action was driven by the unwinding of derivative positions and not true buying. In other words, last week's rally was a relief rally within a bear market, and investors should remain cautious. The next hurdle for the market will be resistance at the 4,500 level, and it may be reached this week. If no more bad news emerges, the market could surpass the level and make a move to retest the all-time highs. A move above 4,500 may be a difficult one, however, because there are few catalysts to spur buying on the calendar this week. You can get the inside track from Wall Street's brightest minds delivered directly to your inbox every day at marketbeatminute.com.
Okay, thank you, Johnny Smalls, for letting us know what is going on right there. We have to talk about what's going on inside of the market, and sometimes it's not the best of news, but it's still something that's going on, so that's why we discuss it. Because some people go, well, why the hell do you keep on giving us bad news? Well, it's not bad news, it's just real news on what's going on out there. Anyways, let's continue talking real quick. The SBA head making first official visit to Miami. The head of the U.S. Small Business Administration, Isabela Castillo Guzman, is making her first visit to Miami today to meet with business owners struggling in the pandemic. Democratic Congresswoman Frederica Wilson says that they are having trouble retaining employees who worked from home during this, the height of the lockdown.
So many people have found ways to start their own businesses, and they've found other jobs. They've found solutions to working from home.
Guzman will tour several small businesses before hosting a roundtable with owners to figure out how the best way they can help them. Congresswoman Wilson says that she is trying to help business owners suffering from the pandemic.
They will be able to voice their concerns, and hopefully they will find solutions.
Wilson says the owners are struggling to retain employees who started working from home.
I think a lot of it is recruiting their workers back. after the shutdown and people went home, it's hard to convince people to come back.
I mean, let's just be realistic for a moment. I mean, and let's not lie about it. A lot of people got their ass sent home. That's just the way that it went. And there was either a pay deduction or something where there's this like hold down for a moment as we are going through this thing. I get it that those were things that were going on, but people are resilient and they're able to figure out things on what they need to do next. So if somebody had the possibility of starting their own business, if somebody had the possibility of doing something X that was going to help them out, hey, you can't fault them for saying, hey, this is something I opted to do. This was something that I chose to do instead of going back and making somebody else rich or make them have money. Because here's the thing. You can work your ass off 9 to 5, day in and day out. And then all of a sudden, in return, after 40 years, using that as an example, come back and go, I got nothing. And nobody wants to get back home and say, I got nothing. So if you can do your own thing, listen, I get it. I will tell you, it's kind of, I'm always amazed on how I get marketed to on social media. This morning, I had a flash ad come to me that was start your own business for as little as $47. No, seriously, start your own business for as little as $47. And don't get me wrong, I look at business ideas all the time. But it's just amazing. I mean, like right now, if I'm working a 9 to 5 in some kind of ad that might be something of interest to me, flashes and says I can start my own gig for $47, there might be a good idea of me saying, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm not saying you should go do it. I'm just saying maybe it's a good idea for what I'm looking into. Just something to think about. So am I going to help somebody else out, or am I going to try to help myself in regards of them becoming rich? You know what I'm saying? I mean, I get it. I get it why some people are struggling to get people back. Anyways, to continue talking, Russian invasion of Ukraine now is on the 26th day. Russia is stepping up its attacks on the Ukrainian capital cities and is shell-shocked as residents are struggled to cope with the violence.
It's unbelievable. I never see Kyiv like this, like now, what is going on.
The Ukrainian Emergency Service said late Sunday that shopping centers in Kyiv had come under attack. Meanwhile, the southeastern port, hundreds of thousands of Ukrainian citizens remain trapped there today. Officials in Kyiv rejected Russian demand to surrender the town. It's been 26 days now since Russia President Vladimir Putin sends his forces into neighboring Ukraine. Boy, does this get more and more interesting every day as we talk. Anyways, I think it's time right now. It is 30 minutes past the top of the hour. Let's get into our main story.
Here is our main story on the Rated R Safety Show.
So if you looked around this morning, if you hung out, if you said, hey, let's take a look at the title and all that kind of fun stuff, some people are going to like it. Some people are not going to like it. And that's the way that it goes because the cookie crumbles in that particular format from time to time. So the titling was Safety Facade. And I think that sometimes we are not aware exactly what we're talking about on this show. Or maybe you don't know what you're talking about. Or maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. But are you familiar, if you sit there for a moment, do you know what a facade is? Like, do you know properly what a facade is? It's a face of a building, especially the principal front that looks onto a street or open space. It's a pretty simple thing to say. So the face of a building, especially the principal front that looks onto the street or an open space. But yesterday, as I am walking through the theme parkathon of the worlds, I get to take a look, and there are certain sections of this theme park that I'm at that is built around facades. That they are facades that really don't lead anywhere. It's not even a real thing. You know, it's the facade of you being in a town. It is the facade of you being in a city. It is the facade of you having all these other things. But when you try to open a door, the door is not there. It is not real. It does not exist. I mean, it's just not there. It doesn't take you anywhere. And it kind of triggered some things in my brain. I've been doing a lot of, we'll say, random searching, reading, and research as of late into some other things when I'm sure we'll talk about that, because that's what I do. I talk about what I'm doing in my life. That made me start wondering and really thinking about when I used to go to different locations to audit people. And when I mean audit people, it was really auditing portions of the organization to have a better understanding of what they were doing. And I think to an extent nowadays, we still get to do that work in, work out in regards of auditing. I mean, you can take a look at it from all kinds of different formats in regards of what an audit would look like. But you still see a lot of facades, and I'm not talking about the front of a building. I am talking about that safety facade. Now, I will tell you, I have been to work over work of auditing where people will turn around and say, hey, this is what is going on. This is where you actually turn around and say, let's take a look in a view of this happening. But they have all these formats that are already filed for you that they want you to look at. They already have these files that are set up and go, okay, good. We are ready to go because this is the format of what we want you to look at, opposed to looking at the real important stuff that might be behind the scenes. And all of a sudden, it's this facade of having all these safety programs. It is all this stuff that they want you to see where it's the main view opposed to you seeing what's behind Pandora's box. Now, don't get me wrong. I will tell you, when I actually was in operations, and this was my doing, this had nothing to do with anything else. The funny part here was this. We would sometimes purposely know that an auditor is actually coming out, where we would purposely do something to make sure that something would stick out, opposed to people taking a look at it and going, let's take a deeper dive, which I get. And these things were done on purpose because it was a distraction. Now, I'm not saying that people still do this, but it was something that was done at the time. Now, the amazing portion about this is that the further you get into taking a look at what people do in files, that's something that happens. And why is that? I don't know. Is it the sidetrack? Is it the hand that you actually do the misdirection? Is it the magician trick of saying, hey, don't pay attention to this because I want you to pay attention to that? These are the things that happen. And the reason behind this is we don't want to be called out on our nonsense. And how often do we do these things for portions of setups? What is the portion that we look at that we go, hey, this is the portion of life that we're taking a look at, opposed to it being the deep dive and doing something else? Why is it that we feel that in the industry there has to be a facade, or some people set up a facade opposed to just calling it out straight? Why is it that because we have numbers that we're looking for, we're not willing to report all? Because that's the thing. There has been a level of fakeness when it comes to some of these things, where we want everything to look pretty and not really, we'll say, tell on ourselves. It's not calling out on ourselves on what exactly we're doing. Don't know why those things happen, but they do. So at what portion do we start taking a look and saying, this is something that we need to change? At what portion do we turn around and go, hey, this is something that we need to do better? I don't know. How do you correct the problem? I don't know. Here's the thing. Today is not really the answer session of what I can tell you. Today is the conversation of, hey, let's talk about this and think about what we can come up with and change it. Because that's the struggle within the industry. We have these metrics that are not the greatest on how we measure stuff, and we have this level of fear, if one may say, of when something does come up that we don't want to show our cards. But why is that? Why is it that we have allowed that we have a number sequence, or the way that we look at metrics, to it to be in that format? Why the facade opposed to it just being reality of what is going on? Now, if there's something that you can change inside of the industry, maybe that's something to start thinking about. But then again, what do I know? I'm just a guy behind a microphone.
Oops! What did he just say?
We at Safety FM don't always agree with the viewpoints of our hosts and guests.
Now back to
Don't
real
go
safety
anywhere.
talk. You're listening to the
Safety
home
FM.
of real safety talk.
You are listening to Safety FM. We'll be right back.
Is your safety training old, stale, and hacked? Is your safety trainer still preaching a warped version of behavior-based safety? How about safety training that actually addresses your hazards in your workplaces and is not standardized baloney from 25 years ago? Contact the Safety Wars team at safetywars.com or call Jim Posel at 845-269-5772. Remember, if you're receiving this message, you are the solution to unsafe workplaces.
This portion of the show has been sponsored by Private Internet Access, America's #1 virtual private network, or VPN. Even if you use incognito mode, internet service providers is storing your browser data and many times even selling it. But Private Internet Access, or PIA, can help you. PIA encrypts and reroutes your internet traffic through one of its own servers, hiding your data from your internet service provider or network admin. And with servers in over 75 countries, you can get unrestricted access to geo-blocked content from around the world. PIA comes with easy-to-use apps and browsers extension for all devices, a rock-solid privacy policy, open source security, advanced customization settings, and it was just ranked the fastest VPN in the world by PC Magazine. And if you sign up right now with PIA, you can take advantage of a special deal only for Safety FM listeners. Only by using the following link, you can get the digital privacy for less than $2 a month. Yes, you did hear me correctly, less than $2 a month, and an extra 4 months for free. So that means for only $1.98 a month and 83% off, you can get this service for you right now. That's so much more inexpensive than virtually every other VPN on the market. And if you get it right now, you can take PIA's 30-day risk-free challenge. You can try it out for 30 days, see if you like it, and if not, just return it for a full refund. So just go to safetyfm.com/VPN. That's safetyfm.com/VPN to try out the best VPN on the planet completely risk-free. Now remember, safetyfm.com/VPN.
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He really likes to be around people. I get out my mat and I'm doing a downward dog and he's underneath. He's quite the pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties. He knows he's a pretty big deal. Look at this little face. How could you not love him?
Hamilton the Pug, Instagram star and shelter pet. Amazing adoption stories start in shelters. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
You make sure his toys don't have any sharp edges. You taught her what to do when the smoke alarm goes off. You do so much to keep your child safe. But are you using the right car seat for your child? Car crashes are a leading killer of children ages 1 to 13. Protect your child's future at every stage of life. For information on the right seat for your child, visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat.
A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
So you see, son, good manners are important. Should I go through it again?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Exactly. Always say please, thank you, you're welcome, and excuse me. Sit up straight, hold doors open, don't speak with your mouth full, keep your elbows off the table. Share your things, play nice, and generally treat others the way you'd like to be treated. Got it?
Got it.
And stop picking your nose.
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush their teeth is easier, and it could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain. Visit 2min2x.org to find out more. A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives, and the Ad Council.
I'm a retired school psychologist, and helping people was my thing. After my stroke, when Meals on Wheels started, I was on the other end of the stick, so to speak. My name is Julius Gaines, creative writer, poet, photographer.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Okay, there you go. 42 minutes past the top of the hour. This song's readily available on Spotify and iTunes. This one is called Monster by Rose. This one probably has to come off of one of my favorite albums of all time. Songs for the Ritually Abused. Okay, there you go. Songs readily available. Monster Rose, Spotify, iTunes. There you go. Some fun stuff going on this morning. 43 minutes past the top of the hour. We are going to get you moving and grooving, talking about some more things that are going on inside of this lovely world of ours. Thank you for those who are hanging out in call-in radio. I guess jumping over to make sure that I see you in all formats, opposed to just seeing you inside of one and then going to another. I mean, thank you. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate when you jump from call-in radio to going into to the box and the chats and all that fun stuff. Means that I really got your attention and you went all the way out of your way to make sure that I saw you. I saw you. Thanks for hanging out. Okay, so let's continue talking about some things that are going on inside of this world. I just get a kick. I just get a kick out of what people like to write. So let's talk about this Netflix and chill. So it turns out that Netflix may be aware that some people share their password and that you might soon have to pay to do so. Let's see. So here's what it's saying. So let's talk about it. Don't get mad at me because I'm just sharing the information with you. That's all I'm doing. Just sharing, nothing else at all. So the streamer has been working on ways to enable members who share passwords outside their household to do so easily and securely while also paying a bit more. According to our blog post last week, over the next 2 weeks, Netflix will be testing a feature in Chile, Costa Rica, Peru, and extra members and profile transfers. With extra members, the subscribers can add to their account up to 2 people who don't live with them. These extra members will have regular Netflix access, including their own profile and login, and at a discounted rate of $3 US. Separately, profile transfers option lets subscriber transfer their profile info, namely their watch history and recommendations. So a new account, which would make it easier for the password moochers to start paying for their own plans. Actually, it's also still if your ex or your parents' account, so there you go. You can actually just transfer that shit over to them. It's probably time to switch anyways. I'd better borrow another friend's passwords just in case of if they cancel, and then I'm the only person that's using it now. So there you go. So good stuff. Anyways, brace yourself, BSers. Happiness overload is coming up. So here you go, some good news for you. Despite the devastating loss of life and growing uncertainty that have the world very much on edge, there is some good news in the UN's World Happiness Report. Benevolence is surging globally. So let's see. The one key finding the researchers have done in the Agency of Sustainable Development Solution Network say that a survey data from people about 150 countries, it found that substantial increases in all 3 forms of benevolence that they are asked about in a poll: donating to charity, helping strangers, and volunteering, especially to help strangers. We're all up about 25% in all regions in a world compared to a pre-pandemic levels, according to the report, which bodies I guess Sheldon Primus, because it's as strange as they left. So there you go. In some other news, with the price of gas at the pump at a record high, some people have made nice effort to help those feeling a pinch at the pumps. Drivers in North Carolina were able to gas up for just $2.25 a gallon one day last week, much less than the state average of $4.12. The gas station owner said that they wanted to help people during the difficult times, so they took a loss of drop their prices until they ran out. And the Chicago businessman Willie Wilson donated $200,000 in free free gas to the city. Gas stations were backed up as grateful motorists filled their tanks for free on Thursday. It's about 4,000 vehicles were filled. Each station also agreed to lower their gas prices during the event to allow more families to benefit from Wilson's generosity. On this Thursday, same plan, expecting that he's giving away $1 million worth. So there you go. So you see, I mean, it's good to see that if people have the means to help out, they're not such dicks as other people, and they're able to do so. So let's talk about some other things. Happiest countries in the world. In recognition of yesterday's International Day of Happiness, the UN's World Happiness Report 2022 list, the happiest countries were unveiled. So here's the top 10. At number 10 was New Zealand. At number 9, Israel. At number 8, Norway. At number 7, Sweden. At number 6, Luxembourg. At number 5, Netherlands. Netherlands was only number 5. Number 4 was Switzerland. At number 3 was Iceland. At number 2 was Denmark. And for the 5th year in a row and going, Finland was at number 1. Other countries in the top was Australia at number 11, Canada at 14, Ireland at 15, UK at 17, US at 19, UAE at 25, Singapore at 32, Jamaica at 36, Kuwait at 46, Thailand at 53, Philippines at 60, Hong Kong 75, Malaysia 79, and South Africa at 101, just to give you a rough rendezvous of what those things were. Anyways, I think it's time, because of such happiness going around, that we should have John Smalls give us some motivation.
The Motivation Minute is courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. Today's quote was submitted by Robert. Muhammad Ali said, "You could be the world's best garbage man, the world's best model. It don't matter what you do if you're the best." I love this mindset. I remember when I was about 12 years old, I worked for a neighbor on their farm. I was a city kid, but I learned quite a bit picking rocks and throwing bales and shoveling pig manure. I remember the farmer's son did a pretty bad job of stacking some bales, and he told his dad, "It's good enough." That's when the farmer replied, "Good enough never is." I learned something that day. It wasn't about stacking the bales. It was about doing the best you can. This has been today's Motivation Minute, courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. They're known for insurance quotes. I'm John Small. Thanks for listening. Your favorite motivational quotes can be submitted for upcoming programs at motivationminute.org.
Your Wellness Minute is brought to you by alasamorgan.com. When it comes to sources of fiber, flaxseed seems to be unique in terms of what it offers, especially for weight loss and weight maintenance. So what is it that makes it so different? Flax is high in soluble fiber, and it contains a specific kind of fiber called arabinoxylans. This particular kind of fiber is significantly more powerful at creating butyrate than any other fiber tested. Now, butyrate is a short-chain fatty acid made by health-promoting bacteria in your gut. And short-chain fatty acids act as signaling devices. One of the things that butyrate helps with is keeping us satiated. And it's not just satiation in our gut that's created by fiber, it's also satiation signals for our brain. Additionally, butyrate improves glucose tolerance and makes us more receptive to carbohydrates, overall creating a healthier gut microbiome. For additional information, check out alasamorgan.com.
We at Safety FM are not responsible for what this idiot behind the microphone is saying. He is trying to be entertaining. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, let's get into some more stuff. If anything, let me tell you the most important thing that I'm going to tell you all day, any day that we get to hang or talk and all that kind of fun stuff. Let me tell you about my friends at the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. Whether you have struggled with suicide yourself or have lost a loved one, know that you're not alone. Hear about personal experience from people in your local communities whose life has been impacted by suicide and depression. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to afsp.org. That is afsp.org, or call 1-800-273-8255. That's 1-800-273-8255, or text the word TALK to 741-741. There you go. You never know when you might need the information for yourself or be able to share it with a loved one or someone in general. You can go up there and actually find out information to how to get help, even to be able to join a local chapter if you're so inclined to do so, or even just hear about real stories that are going on in your area. So just for the sake of doing so. So let's get into some other news real quick. Mike Tyson Weed Company is selling edibles in the shape of an ear. It's a nod to the infamous 1997 ring incident when the boxer got a mouthful of Evander Holyfield's ear. Tyson, who has been selling cannabis products since 2016, is now marketing Mike Bites, ear-shaped edibles as the bite mark at the top of the gummy, exactly where Tyson took off a piece of Evander Holyfield's cartilage. Tyson gave the product Tyson's gave the product personal approval, responding in a tweet that a new product by writing, these ears actually taste good. Tyson believed to earn about $1 million per month through the cannabis brand Tyson 2.0. My question is not so much that Tyson approved it. What about Evander Holyfield? He's the one that got the raw end of the stick on this one.
Listen at your own risk. Rated R Safety Show.
So just some stuff to think about as we are talking moving and grooving and all of that stuff. Anyways, Iowans have a little bit more than a month to get their state tax done. Fewer than half have done so already. John Fuller in the Iowa Department of Revenue says that nearly 173,000 refunds have been paid out.
We've paid out 172,800 refunds, which equals about just over $96 million.
Fuller says that the average refund are about, $555. The federal tax filing deadline is April 18th this year, but the Iowa tax deadline is May the 2nd. Iowa Department of Revenue, John Fuller says that the state of Iowa has paid out $96 million in tax refunds so far this year.
The average refund that Iowans are receiving so far this tax season is about $555.
Iowa Department of Revenue says that it will, all said and done, that his department will have the proceeds of nearly 3 million tax forms.
Statutorily, the deadline for Iowa filing, the state of Iowa, is April 30th, not April 15th. It's April 30th. This year, that happens to fall on a Saturday, so you get 2 extra days until May 2nd.
So, in other words, get your taxes done, people, regardless of where you're at. That's just Iowa giving you an example of what they're doing. What's going on in your neck of the woods. Anyways, so let's continue talking. GOP goes on the fuel price offensive. Republicans are intensifying the efforts to use high fuel prices to their advantage ahead of November's midterm. Mike Bowers has more information. Welcome to the Swampy Doo.
Stickers bought at pro-Trump websites that feature a picture of President Biden pointing and saying, "I did that," are appearing beneath gas prices at pumps all across the country. Meanwhile, the Republican National Committee held 3 voter registration drives outside of 3 gas stations in Arizona over the weekend. The events are part of a broader voter registration initiative that the RNC will run across the country in the upcoming weeks as gas prices hit record highs, according to the outlet. RNC Chairwoman Rona McDaniel says Republicans are coming to gas stations nationwide to register voters. I'm Mike Bauer.
Okay, thanks, Mike Bauer, for that one. Talking about that same thing, let's go ahead and have Mike Bowers talk about this one. White House considering sending Americans gas cards. Axios is reporting that the White House has been toying with the idea of giving Americans gas cards to help offset gas prices. Mike Bowers has more information.
The White House this week considered having the IRS send gas cards to Americans, a short-lived idea that some key House Democrats vehemently opposed, listing reasons like it would be expensive and poorly targeted, and delivering the cards via the IRS would be a slow process that could bog down the IRS in the middle of the tax filing season, potentially delaying people's tax returns. There is a variety of ideas being discussed to ensure that the costs American families are feeling at the pump are as minimal as possible. Ideas like stimulus checks, using more ethanol to lower the demand for oil, and canceling oil companies' federal leases that aren't currently actively being used. I'm Mike Bauer.
Okay, thanks, Mike Bauer, for that one. So a lot of stuff going on in the pump as we are talking. Anyways, no winner for Friday night's Mega Million drawing. Tuesday's drawing will be for a $39 million jackpot or a $25.3 million cash payout. No winner for Saturday night's Powerball drawing either. Tonight's drawing will be for a $156 million jackpot or $101.8 million cash payout. Maybe I'll be able to say that at some point. So let's talk a little bit more about some other things. Let's take a look at some things that happened back on this date. Back in 2018, Mark Zuckerberg admits that Facebook made a mistake after data of 50 million users harvested by Cambridge Analytica for political advertising purposes. The illicit harvesting was first reported back in journalists in The Guardian in December of 2015. Further reports surfaced on Facebook refusing to comment. The scandal finally erupted in March with the emergence of the whistleblower Christopher Willie, who previously worked for Cambridge Analytica, following the reveal that more than $100 billion was knocked off of Facebook's market capitalization, and politicians demand answers. This all led to Zuckerberg testifying in front of Congress. So that happened back on 2018. So there you go. If you're looking for some birthdays for today, let's see, just real quick. Miles Bridges, 24. Diggy Simmons, 27. Charles Clipp, 35. Scott Eastwood, 36. Matthew Broderick, 60. And Rosie O'Donnell turned 60 as well. And Gary Oldman turned 64. So there you go. That's some birthdays for today. If you're looking for, let's see, some days of the year to celebrate today, I got some of those for you. We're going over, by the way. That's the great thing about being on this station. I can go over. We're going over. National California Strawberry Day. National Common Courtesy Day. National Countdown Day. National Fragrance Day. National French Bread Day. National Single Parent Day. And World Down Syndrome Day. So those are all days that you can celebrate. So there you go. I guess we're doing an extended version going over into the Jay Allen in the Morning Show. Sorry about that, but I guess that's just kind of how it's going to go this morning. So let's talk about some other things real quick. I'll try to do this quick just to get you the hell out of here if you need to get out of here. So here you go. If you need a random joke for today, I got one of those. I used to have winter fat, but now I have spring rolls. If you need a phone starter for today, try this one. What takes too much time but totally worth it? If you need a question for the water cooler, try this. In a survey, 59% of people said that they would not buy these used. What is it? Earrings. So there you go. Just some stuff to think about for sure as we're going around and about. Anyways, if you want to come and hang out, I'll be going over to Jay Allen in the morning on RadioBig.fm. So you can come hang out, take a listen to some music, and we'll go from there. If not, that's perfectly fine. I'll be back tomorrow, God willing. That would be the fantastic thing. Thank you for being the best part of Safety FM and Radio Big, and that is the listener, because without you, we can't do what we do around here. That is for sure. Anyways, if I can leave you with a deep thought for today, I would love to leave you with this one. The common way people give up their power is by thinking they don't have any. Think about that one for the rest of the day. Anyways, I know who you are.
Duh.
You know who I am. Love you, mean it, and goodbye.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.